Well, hello. Welcome to Hello Chaos, a weekly podcast exploring the messy and chaotic minds and lives of founders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. Every week, we talk to entrepreneurs from different industries at different company stages of all shapes and sizes. We hear real, raw, and unbiased founder stories and talk about the good, the great, and the ugly. All parts of being a founder. And it's why our mantra is where aha meets oh shit. We drop new episodes every Sunday so founders can listen to us on a Sunday afternoon and get ready for the week ahead. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange WIP. That is Orange WIP, WIP for work in progress, because that's what we all are. Orange WIP is a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs in affiliate cities through hyper-local media platforms that are designed to inform, inspire, and create connections to help founders succeed. Orange WIP is an all-in-one content hub for founders with fresh and engaging stories, curated calendars, and local dynamic roadmaps so that founders can navigate their local entrepreneurial ecosystems with ease. We've done all the hard work for founders so they only need to go to one trusted source to find the local information they need. My name is Jennifer Sutton. My friends and family call me JJ. I'm the founder of Orange WIP and will be your host today. And I'm so excited to have our guest on. We have John Azar. He is the founder of Peak 15 Capital. Welcome, John. Welcome to Hello Chaos.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate you having me on the show, or JJ. I guess I can call you JJ.
That's right. We're friends now.
Yeah.
We're BFFs.
We go a long way.
That's right. So why don't you just start us out? Just tell us about your founder journey.
Considering this is what my current company, Peak 15 Capital, is technically, I guess, my fourth company.
Whoa.
So
you've been in it.
Yeah, on and off. Yes, I have been in it. There's breaks in between to lick my wounds and refill the coffers a little bit and then get back in. So that's what it's like the bouts. It's almost like a boxing bout. You're in it for a while, and then you just kind of, and then the ding ding ding, the bell rings, and you have to sit down, wipe your sweat a little bit. You get your ass kicked or handed to you a little bit, and then you sit back down and you get back in. So that's just kind of been my experience, at least since I've started doing. Since I've always been since I've been an entrepreneur. My first company I launched when I was in my 20s, and now I'm in my 50s, and this is
Welcome
my fourth company.
So what kind of companies did you find? Were they in certain industries, certain categories, or were they?
My first company was I was in consulting and tech.
Okay.
Ironically, that was my very, very first company that I started, and then my second company was in structured finance, and that was my entree into commercial real estate.
Okay.
It's a structured finance commercial real estate company, which is basically acting as an investment banking consultancy for mixed use development, large scale developments on the East Coast, working with developers, financiers. We essentially acted as an investment banker for those deals, where essentially structuring the deals and putting the deals together and making sure they're successful. We worked, and that was back in 2004, 2005. We operated well until 2010. Really operated well until 2000, 2009. We got our ass handed to us.
I was like, and then
crash. Exactly. Yeah, and then the music stopped, and
right.
and then the music stopped, and we had no chair. We had
no chair.
We had a stool that had some spikes on it that we couldn't sit on. So so unfortunately we had to close doors on that in 2010, and relaunched another company with my brother in 2013, 2014, and then still have that. It was a commercial real estate syndication platform for acquiring multifamily assets in the Southeast. Multifamily is essentially apartments. That's for the
For the
non-initiated in
non,
commercial real estate.
it's apartments. Yeah.
Apartments, yeah, apartment complexes. So did that until 2020, and then in 2020 launched my current company, Peak 15 Capital, and we are a diversified private equity shop
Okay.
in commercial real estate, specializing in both financing and advisory in commercial real estate. So we have a fund that we deploy out of, and we work with investors, operators, developers on projects, anywhere from 10 million to 50 million.
Wow. And
Yeah.
and it's all over the country, or do you guys specialize in a certain geography?
We have two business lines. We have an advisory business line
Okay.
to place equity capital, and that line is across the country,
Okay.
anywhere in the United States. All business lines, not just multifamily. This encompasses anything from industrial warehouses to
Okay.
student housing, senior living.
So anything in the commercial real estate.
Anything in the commercial world. For our fund, currently our fund is only specializing in multifamily.
Okay.
This particular fund is a multifamily. It's a GP fund, meaning general partner fund, meaning that we deploy capital out of our fund into the GP economic stack of the equation, because usually there's in a commercial real estate transaction, they're essentially, I'm going to, if you'll let me, I'm just going to explain what that means.
Yeah, please, please.
In a commercial real estate transaction, there's essentially what's called a capital stack, which is the full capital stack. That means what all the money is.
Right.
And that capital stack is divided into different segments. Into one of the capital stacks is divided into the debt segment, which is what you take on, just like a mortgage. When you buy a house, you take
Right.
a mortgage out, and that's a percentage, anywhere between 50 to 70%, say, of that capital stack. 30 to 50% of that, or 30 to 40% of that, typically is equity. So that's typically, if you're again equating it to a home mortgage, that's your down payment, or that's what you come out of pocket with. So that in commercial real estate could be anywhere between 30 to 50% or 40%. That equity stack is also divided into different segments. It's divided into what's called the GP stack and the LP stack. The GP is the general partner, which is really the skin in the game that any operator, developer, sponsor, that's what they put into the deal themselves.
Okay.
And that should range anywhere between 10 to 15% of that equity stack. And then the rest of that is coming from what's known in industry as LPs, or limited partners, or
Gotcha.
so that's the rest of the equity. So the rest of the 80% or 85% or 90% is coming from other partners. Our fund invests in that 10 to 15% part of the equity.
Okay. What inspired you to get into commercial real estate and to start this company?
Listen, I mean, commercial real estate to me is probably the last exciting frontier of what you could to me it is. Anyway, to me, a lot of people look at commercial real estate and they think it's boring, or it's something that's not, but to me, I look at commercial real estate, I look at real estate in general, and I'm like, man, this is like, it's the last vestiges of what you can put a hands on and put true value on. Right. In this world, because guess what? They're not making any more real estate. We're not. That's right. We're not adding. We have
limited.
Yeah, we got limited space. We got limited space that we're dealing with. So and to me, it's playing both on my passion of commercial real estate and finance and investments, which is my background. Yeah. I know I don't look much like a finance guy. I don't act much like a finance guy.
It's the best part.
I know exactly. I mean, look at me. I'm a tatted up. I have an F-bomb come out of my mouth every now and then. So I'm not exactly your typical investment banking or private equity guy. Whatever those guys look like.
Right. So, they're called slick gray suits.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do own a couple of suits still, but
Well, what's been the most rewarding part of,
Um,
owning your companies and starting peak 15? I mean, what's been the most
the
rewarding
most
part?
rewarding part is, as cheesy as that sounds, is just working on deals and trying to help our investors and client kind of see see an alternative to what's out there.
Huh.
Essentially seeing that hey, like dealing with someone when they deal with someone like Peak 15. I hope that the resounding feedback is that it's refreshing to deal with us. I think if I want anybody to use any kind of vernacular of describing how they're dealing with us and their experience in dealing with us is maybe refreshing.
Yeah,
Both from a client perspective and an investor perspective, because we work with both
that's right.
with
Both
different
sides.
sets of people. We work with clients who we again work with through our projects and partner with, and then we work with investors who invest in our fund. And these are high net worth investors, accredited investors that would invest in our fund. So I mean, to me, being authentic and real and transparent in all facets of our business is hugely important. And everybody that I hire and everybody that we bring on board has to kind of ascribe to that ideology. I'm never going to bring some kind of double-faced slick Willie that works with us. That's never going to happen. So
Right.
that's not part of our culture.
So when you say like you want people to get, it's refreshing to work with you. You guys aren't like the others. What's the experience that people typically get if they work with another capital, fund firm like yours? What is that experience like that you're like, we do not want to be that?
I don't know. I'm not in the business of trying to putting down anybody else, because that's not I don't have to put anybody else down, and I don't want to
Right.
do that. In fact, if anything, I want to send business to other people in our industry. I love my cohorts. I love any other people that are in the industry. Everybody has their own niche and their own way of doing things, and
Right.
I think that maybe the only differential is that they get brutal honesty with us, whether they like it or not. That's
Which they need.
story.
People need that.
Yeah, they need that, but it's one thing to need it. It's another thing to accept it. So
Well, yeah.
People sometimes tell you they want you to be honest, but then when you're honest, they're like, shit, I didn't want to hear that. So
but you're like, but that's the reality. You need to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, my thing is always, don't ask the question that you don't want to hear the answer for.
Right.
And, if you do hear authenticity and you want someone to be transparent and truthful with you, then don't get mad.
Right.
That's what, that's what it is.
That's right.
I don't know how to sugarcoat stuff too much. I mean, maybe a little bit, but I don't know how to, if there's something that is disconnected or that doesn't feel right to me, or there are some questions about something, I can't. I'm not in the business of letting my mouth being kept shut and not saying anything and just be nice just to be nice. I just don't do that.
Well, that needs to happen, especially when you're talking about money and proper. I mean, you got to have those real conversations.
Exactly. Well, especially when you're in charge of other people's money. I mean,
that's right.
My investors are trusting me with their money, which is, to me, is the ultimate honor. And I'm blessed to be in a position to work with great, phenomenal people, phenomenal investors who put their money with me, and they trust that I'm doing the best job I can to safeguard their money and have tremendous growth. So, if I have that responsibility, I also have to approach everything from the lens of, I got to be as real, pragmatic, as hard as I need to be to get to the bottom line of something, or get to the best deal that I can on something that I'm dealing with.
That would be refreshing. We got somebody asked a question via LinkedIn. We've got Danny Holiday. They said, speaking of brutal honesty, is commercial real estate in trouble in the near future?
Yes and no. It's a good question. I think we're going to have a lot of pain in the market this year and next year as a result of the I would say the hubris that have been in commercial real estate for the past 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen people enter this industry with a lot of misconception. We've seen people enter this industry that have probably no business entering this industry because they've gotten bought into all of these, I hate to say it, but like all these kind of social media coaching programs or that tout like, hey, you can also be a commercial real estate entrepreneur and with zero money out of pocket, and you can own this Lamborghini and have this and have a private jet. You too deserves that. Why not you?
Right.
And you have, as a result, we've seen a whole cadre of people coming into this industry and starting to transact, buy apartments or buy something else that are, within the commercial real estate space. That probably shouldn't be.
Yeah,
but that probably shouldn't be. That they don't, that don't know how to underwrite properly, that don't know how to look at numbers in a pragmatic, conservative way. And they're going to be hurt. They're going to be hurt. And I feel bad for them, and I feel bad for their investors, but that's just, unfortunately, that's kind of the nature of the beast. So these people that have been overly optimistic on their projections and numbers and underwriting are probably going to get mowed in the next couple of years.
Really?
So there will be some pain there in that market space as a result of either some adjusting debt that is going to be not sustainable for those deals, or operations that are not sustainable for those who do not have the operational knowledge and background to be able to kind of adjust with the time and be able to adjust their operations. But there's going to be a huge amount of opportunities for folks like us who specifically structured their fund to take advantage of this blood on the street that's expected to come.
Wow. Thank you for answering that, Danny. Hope that you got your answer. Yeah. So, we talk about entrepreneurship and being a founder. What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about being an entrepreneur, being a founder of something, and how would you debunk it?
I think the biggest misconception is that you're your own boss and you can make your own time. Yeah. Yes, you are your own boss, and yes, you can make your own time, but you're also now responsible for this creation that you have underneath you. You have this responsibility to this creation that's called your company, and depending on what you do and what size of company it is, if you start hiring employees, and if you start having people to work with you, and if you start having clients, and if you start having investors, then yes, you do have freedom, but at the same time, you have a fiduciary duty to all those people around you to lead.
Right.
Leadership comes with a responsibility in its own set of duties, and
it's challenging.
And it's challenging, and it's not, it's not for the faint of heart. That's for sure. So I think that's the biggest misconception is like, well, I can be an entrepreneur and I can do whatever I want. Well, yeah, you can, but you're, to an extent, as long as you're making sure all the other parts of your life, all the other, your baby, your creation, is taken care of and managed correctly and managed right.
Right.
So I think that's probably one of the biggest misconceptions about it.
That's a good one. Can you share a breakthrough moment or a decision that had a significant impact on the growth of your business? So it's basically, tell us your aha moment.
Oh man, aha moment.
I'm sure there's many.
I think, yeah, I'm sure there are many. There are many. I think the aha moment probably most recently came when we launched, after we launched Peak 15, and we are trying to structure this fund that we currently have. How can we kind of come out in the marketplace with something, with a fund that is unlike a lot of other funds out there, unlike a lot of other commercial real estate offerings, that offers investors an opportunity to participate in deals in a meaningful way that will give them access to the same kind of returns, economic returns, as general partners or principals of the deal. And that's not been necessarily the case out there for a lot of investment vehicles. Most investment vehicles, whether it's a syndication, what's called a syndication, that's essentially an offering by a real estate operator or sponsor, where they put together what's called a syndication, essentially going out there and raising money for a project from investors, and then executing on that project and managing that project. Those are the type of deals that I told you that could sometimes be that may be in danger. A lot of them are going to be in danger in the next couple of years. That process is I've always kind of found it for the past few years, and I've done it myself for many years. There's a little bit of a disconnect on the returns to investors. So for me, when I was structuring our fund, I wanted to find a vehicle that would offer investors a very democratic way to participate in deals, and while at the same time protecting them from an exposure perspective.
Okay.
So keeping them as limited partner, meaning keeping them protected from any kind of liability or anything like that from deals.
So less risk. Yeah.
Less risk, but offer them bigger rewards and participation on the general partner level. So, and that was the aha moment for me, is when I was structuring the fund and talking to a lot of people around, and especially my own investors, it occurred to me, wow, this is something really cool, because they can participate on, if I was able to give them my returns the same level as me, sharing a lot more of the pie with them, and also share what's known as deal fees, because we have in commercial real estate, there are deal fees that a lot of general partners or principals or developers get on the execution of the deal. So something called, like, for instance, an acquisition fee is something that is very common in our industry. That's when you close a deal. After that, you get an acquisition fee. The general partner or the principals of the deal get an acquisition fee. That acquisition fee, for instance, as an example, is never shared with investors. That goes directly to the sponsors, owners. Historically, have gone strictly to the sponsors and owners. Well, we made a conscious decision to share that acquisition fee 50-50 with our investors in our fund.
Wow.
So, and to be honest with you, the feedback I got, even from my own lawyer as I was structuring the fund, my lawyer was like, why are you doing this? Like, you don't need to share all of that. I said, I know I don't need to, but why wouldn't I? I said, if I'm building a vehicle that I'm really touting as a true participation on the general partner dynamic, if it's a true participation fund,
right,
why wouldn't I share that? There's plenty of pie out there. I don't need to keep more pies, or I don't need to keep the majority of the pie and give less of the pie out there. There's a lot of pie out there. Right. I'd rather feed on, 100 pies than keep the majority of one pie. Right. So, it's the whole concept of, I don't mind taking less, because there's going to be a lot more opportunities out there for me to share.
You're going, this is scalable. Like,
it's scalable. That's right.
Highly scalable.
And in the meantime, if I'm able to provide my investors an opportunity to triple, if not
high value,
double or triple their normal returns on investments.
Yeah.
Why not? Why wouldn't I be why not do that? So that's really kind of that was really the biggest aha moment as I was structuring my fund, to realize how I could do that in order for me to present something in the marketplace that's different, that's shifting, but highly rewarding both to me and my investors.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of other aha moments. Believe me, I've a lot of them involving me, because I've gone through my own set of growth for the past, few years as well. So,
so describe one of those, one of your own little personal ahas.
One of my own personal ahas is that I need to pause. I'm not good at pausing. I need to. I've learned in recent years.
Every founder dilemma.
I know, and that's why it's an aha moment for me, because we go 1,000 miles an hour, and not just in business, but in our personal life as well.
Yeah,
in everything. So, and that's why I meant earlier when you and I were talking. I said, you get me, you get this all the time. You get this all the time. There's no there's no different version of John
know.
when you talk to me
That's what I was like,
personally, when you talk to me in the business.
you get the non-filter with me. I have no filter.
Exactly. So, and my MO is just to keep going, even through conversations or whatever. And the biggest thing that I had to do is just pausing, and I had to learn, and it was hard. It was hard. It was a
when you
hard
say
skill to
pausing,
teach myself.
Like I've got to take a moment daily, or are you saying like I need to take like
No, I'm talking about pausing in the normal course of conversation. Like as you're talking to me, if I'm hearing something that I need to either be reactive to or give you a certain answer, or maybe it's something that affects me emotionally and that caused me to be either dysregulated or maybe conjures a certain emotion that is good or bad, whatever it might be. My biggest fall before was that I didn't pause enough. And this kind of throw up came out of my mouth that was that a lot of times got me in trouble, because I didn't take that split second to pause and say, okay, what is the story that's going in my head about this, and what story am I telling myself? Because that's what we do a lot of times. We tell ourselves,
because we don't act. You're just describing like how to active listen. I mean,
exactly,
because it's a 2A of, okay, I'm listening, but some people their mind is going, I'm not listening to you because I'm over here trying to figure out what I'm going to say next. How do I posture myself? How do I position? So I've missed anything. So yeah, then you're describing the moment of I'm listening intently, but now I've got to take a moment and go, how am I going to respond to this? How do I absorb? Did I even hear this right? Let me play it back.
To yourself.
To yourself. But what a powerful lesson that we all need to remember to do.
I mean, I really didn't understand this whole. I've known about active listening or proactive listening for a while, but I didn't really know what it meant until I learned this sort of art of pausing. Whether it's during conversations or after conversations. And I'm still working on it. Believe me, it's not. There's no such thing as perfection.
No.
So
that's why our company is called Orange WIP, because it's work in progress. Because that's where we're like, we are all a work in progress.
We are all work in progress, Jennifer. There is no perfection.
We never hit the end ever.
No. There is no perfection. There's what I've learned in life is there's a God, and it's not me. So
we're all sinners.
It's not about just we're all sinners. It's just we're all flawed to some extent. We're all flawed, and
we got to work on ourselves.
And we're constantly working on ourselves. I'm constantly working on myself, and to me it's exciting. I love working on myself. I love finding new things that I don't know, whether it's about myself or somebody else.
Exactly.
That's part of the sort of the intellectual curiosity that I love having, and I hope a lot of people have. Without that intellectual curiosity, I think life is boring.
Well, not only that, but I think you need to have that as you're, running a company, founding something, because every time you hit a different scale, your company changes, the people changes, the mindsets change. So, and those are all new moments and experiences that you might go, whoa, this is different now. How do I show up? Because now I got a whole different team that I had 3 years ago. You know what I mean? Because now you went from 0 to now you have 50 people. I'm just making, and it's different when you're building a company with 3 people versus 50 or 150 or 1,000. I mean, it just, your mindset has to continually change, and you need to be challenged intellectually of how are you going to deal with that?
100%. 100%.
Those
and
moments.
a lot of times the challenge is challenging yourself, not necessarily external challenges, but internal challenges.
That's right.
So, and I think these challenges, I think, are even harder than external challenges. So,
yeah, I would 100% agree.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
So as you go into, some of the, these work in progress moments, how do you deal with stress and big challenges? What is your what's your personal kind of go-to?
I have to disconnect, after, I work hard and I have to disconnect to some extent. And that disconnection can, to me, it's nature. I'm a huge outdoors guy. I love the outdoors, love the outdoors. I'm all about anything that's got to, I'm all about hiking. I do mountain biking. I do hiking. I do, nature walking. I love hunting. So, I mean, I'm all of these things that get me into the primal, feeling of nature and humanity. I'm all about that. So, so to me, that's what gets me to kind of disconnect and it doesn't take,
Recharge. Yeah.
and recharge. It doesn't take much to me. A day or two out in the wild, set me back out in the wild, and I'll come back. I'll come back refreshed, and I do that often. Every couple of weeks. I try to do something like that where go off to the mountains. The mountains are my
That's your go-to.
That's my go-to. That's my peaceful place.
What's your go-to mount dip?
Here in the Carolinas, or
Okay.
or Virginia,
So the Appalachians
or Georgia,
and all that.
the
Oh,
Appalachia,
yeah.
Appalachian Mountain for now. I mean, but I go all over the place. I go to Colorado. I go to, anything that is outdoors and mountainous is all about me. I'm definitely not a beach guy. There's this whole thing about people always ask are you a beach or mountains kind of guy? You're like, well, I like the beach here and there. I'm like, nah, I give two shits about the beach. I don't.
You're like, give me some rocks.
Yeah, exactly. Give me
rocks
the rocks.
And trees.
Give me forests. Give me that fresh air of mountains and forests, and I'm all about that. Beach, I mean, I'll go. I mean, it's not like I won't go.
But that's not your recharge. That's not my.
That's not
where you go. Yeah.
That's not my recharge. I'll go to the beach because my family wants to go, or something like that. But and plus I'm hugely ADHD, so I like beach is not like something where I can.
You can't sit on a beach.
Yeah, sit on a beach and
that's
read.
Painful for you.
That's very painful for me. For me to sit on a beach chair and read and just sit there and sunbathe for hours. That's torture. That's like Dante's Inferno to me. So I can't.
You're like, are we ready? Are we done?
Can we go? I gotta do. I mean, if I'm doing something, it's different. If I'm fishing or doing or beach kayaking or something else, I gotta do something. The sitting for hours and hours and days. I'm always like, I'm like, people go and do this for days. What do they do at the beach for days?
I'll tell you. What then are you, whenever you have those rest moments, does your mind not race faster to go, I need to get back to I'm thinking of every to-do list I have. So it sometimes doesn't reignite. It makes me get more anxious sometimes. I have to, everybody has different, recharge moments.
After you have restful moment, you're more anxious when you get back. Is that what you mean?
If I'm just sitting, and I've got to be either reading, I've got to be walking. I'm, same way. I'm like, if I feel like I'm just kind of vegging, I'm thinking of all the things I should be doing.
Do you meditate?
I do. I started about 6 months ago. I did one last night. I do a sound bath, which is wonderful. You talk about decompress and tune out.
Sound meditation is
the sound
wonderful.
Meditation. Yeah, it was, I love it. I go a couple times a month and I sleep like a baby afterwards. It's wonderful.
Yeah. No, that's great.
But everyone has to find kind of their thing, the important thing is you gotta disconnect. You gotta recharge. You've got to re-energize or you'll burn out. And it's awful.
You do. You absolutely do. Yeah. And like I said, it doesn't have to be long.
No.
It just has to be long enough for your mind to reset. It typically takes anywhere between it takes 24 hours.
Yeah.
At the very least.
That's
I think for your mind to kind of reset and
get out of your rhythm.
Yeah. Get out of your rhythm. Exactly.
So, okay, now tell us all your oh shit moments of what were those huge challenges that you had to overcome? How did you deal with it? Like when you kind of enter the holy shit, what have I gotten into?
I think my most memorable oh shit moment was probably when I launched my second company, the company I told you about. I was in Boston at the time, and I launched my structured finance shop. It used to be called Boston Venture Partners, and that was the structured finance commercial real estate shop I mentioned earlier. When we first kind of and my partners and I had two other partners in that venture, and we both came from the investment world, Morgan Stanley, Royal Bank of Canada, Capital Markets Group, that kind of stuff. So when we launched our company, we really didn't know that much about commercial real estate. I mean, none of us knew that much about commercial real estate. We knew finance, we knew investments, but we did not know diddly squat about commercial real estate. You know, we knew a little bit, like we knew just headlines, I guess,
Right.
about that. And within a very short period after we launched, we found ourselves engaged with some huge developers and huge financiers that came to and the reason we launched that was because we were connected with them from our previous positions in shops like that, like in those investment banking shops that we were in. And after we got connected again, we sort of immediately started at this level to some extent.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably that in and of itself was kind of scary, because we didn't start like, hey, let's start with a small project doing
right. They're like, no, here's the giant.
That's it.
800-pound gorilla. Go.
Exactly. I mean, the way we got started is we started working on like a $500 million project. So, and then that gives you the idea of like the scale of how we started out when we started our company. And we were visiting. We had a meeting in New York that my partners and I attended. It was a really important meeting because we were meeting with this developer who's also a financier. He's one of the biggest developers in New York. They own millions of square feet in New York. They were a well-known development company and family, very prestigious family in New York. So we were in their office, and they left us in this like corner office with windows overlooking the sky view of New York and the skyline of New York. And it was a beautiful office, gorgeous office. And I was looking outside of the skyline, and I was like, what the fuck are we doing here? If these people knew how little we know about commercial real estate, they would kick us right out of this office. I was like, and I turned to my partners. That's exactly it. I turned to my partner. I said, oh shit. I was like, I said, guys, I'm kind of freaking out a little bit, because what are we doing here? We have this gigantic meeting with this gigantic firm to nail down this contract, on this project. And I like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? This was not just an internal oh shit moment. This was an oh shit moment that I expressed outward.
And would everybody look at you like, shh?
Exactly. And one of my partners was like, John, just calm down. Calm the fuck down.
We're gonna fake it till we make it.
Like, exactly. Like we know what we're doing. We have a lot of other knowledge, and we're gonna and they don't know how little we know. They don't know how green we are in commercial real estate, but they know we're good at finance, which is we are. We were good at finance and investment. So, the commercial real estate part was we don't know. We didn't know, but we figured it out. And so that was probably my biggest memorable oh shit moment.
That was your imposter syndrome moment. You were like, what am I doing here?
Oh, totally. I totally had an imposter syndrome. Absolutely.
And your partner was like, calm it down. Let's bring it in.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's this, I don't deserve to be here. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
If I'm going to be found out and people are going to not want to, and they're going to want to kick me right out of their office.
That's right. That's a scary moment. It's a real moment, moment for a lot of us.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's okay to have those moments.
It
I
is.
just, because it means you're human.
That's right. That's right.
So,
I call it like you just got to stumble forward, right? Just got to keep moving.
that's right. That's
keep
right. You got to
keep
keep
going.
moving. That's it. A lot of times you will figure it out. You will build
That's
this
right.
lane as you're trying to take it off the runway. So,
Absolutely. So if you had to hit rewind on anything, is there anything you do differently with any of your companies or even with Peak 15?
um, anything I would do differently? I
Yeah.
would probably maybe change the timelines of some stuff. I mean,
Okay.
you can't, obviously you can't. I have no regrets. Could I change, would I have done, would I have done things differently in my life? Absolutely. I would have done so many things differently in my life. There's so many people tell you that, oh, I have no regrets. I don't like
Right.
regrets. I don't carry regret because regret is a heavy weight to carry.
Right.
And so it's not about regret, but would I have changed things?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would change things all the time if I had the opportunity to change things.
Talk about what's one thing that you would have been like, man, if I would have done this differently, it could have significantly changed my, trajectory.
This company that I have now, Peak 15,
Okay.
I probably would have launched these concepts and the business model that we have right now. I would have probably launched it if I was to backtrack much earlier. I would have, if I knew what I know, if I knew then what I knew now,
Yeah.
I would have probably launched it, a decade earlier.
Yeah. I was just thinking about where you said that your aha moment. It's like, man, you would have done that. You could have, scaled.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And created that value proposition much earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. I probably would have done that for sure. For sure. That would be one thing I would if I was to change, I would go back and relaunch what I have now.
Yeah.
Just much earlier, just years earlier.
Well, I'm curious for you, what keeps you up at night?
Not a whole lot keeping up at night. I sleep pretty tightly at night.
All right.
I'm not, I think that, if that question is going into what worries you a lot of times.
What stresses you out? What is what's making
me out?
What keeps your mind spinning?
Yeah. What stresses me out at this point is to continue to do well with people that have entrusted us. Whether it's projects or money or investments or investors, and probably to do well by my employees and people who have trusted me with their own journey as we're growing this company. Last year was significantly hard for me, for us as a company. Last year was a very, very tough year for commercial real estate.
Okay, just for the category, and then the scale a bit. Like, was it because you scaled quickly and just had the pressure?
No. Well, it was because we had no growth last year, and it was so last year in commercial real estate was a year where people like us who have conservative underwriting and don't want to compromise on their deals did not do any deals. And when you don't do any deals in our market, we only did one deal last year. We did one acquisition and one other deal that is on the non-acquisition front, and that's all we did all of last year. So I mean, last year was very tough, just emotionally, financially, and it started out, to be honest with you, probably it's smidged towards the end of the year before that, in kind of 2022 as entering 2023, and then when we entered 23. I had high expectations and hopes on 23 being what's happening today. Yeah. So I kind of misjudged the market by almost a year.
Okay.
I launched our new fund last year, thinking that what's coming in the market now was going to transpire last year, and it did not transpire last year. It's transpiring now.
Okay.
So
now,
the pain.
Now you're ready.
Now we're ready. Yeah, exactly. Now we're ready. So,
but you had to endure. That's a lot of, but that's a good lesson learned of like knowing the market. And a lot of times we misread it. How do you pivot? How do you deal with the stress? How do you write it?
Yeah, yeah. You got to figure it out. You gotta have oxygen, and luckily I'm blessed to have had some oxygen enough to
Mhm.
sustain and pay my employees and keep my doors open, and pay my lease and pay my pay our expenses,
That's
and
right.
pay our for our software, pay all, so I mean, because you have to keep going. You have to keep I didn't have the option to. I didn't grow last year, and I think that
Right.
was the biggest thing that I did, that I you know that the only thing I can control was not grow. I did not contract. Luckily, I did not, nobody had to be let go or anything like
Right.
that. So, but it was stressful. I mean, and that came with a price. I had to bankroll the company out of my pocket the entire year
Right.
last year. So, that
That's
was
a lot of
not,
stress.
that was painful. That was
Yeah.
painful. Believe
That wa
me,
that was me in 2020, trying to keep us together. Like I
yeah.
said, we didn't grow, we kinda broke even, but we kept everybody that we
I
needed to
did that
keep.
in 2022. So as
Oh,
well,
oh, so you had to go through it
because,
twice.
well, in 2020, I
Oh my
launched Peak
gosh.
15. I launched Peak 15 in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic.
Right.
We were just brand new coming out of the marketplace. So in 2020, I bankrolled the company because I had to
Yep.
launch it, and we didn't like it. It took us a while to even get momentum to start executing on deals. That didn't start happening until the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. So 2021 we started having some forward momentum and started getting some deals, and I started hiring more people, and then 2022 we did more, and it started to look more positive, and then boom, 23 came, and like everything kind of stopped.
Right.
And yeah, like I had to do the same thing yet
Over.
again in 23 that I did back in 2020.
Yeah.
And it's, again, it's painful, but I think every entrepreneur can
Can
identify with
do.
that, as you as you watch your operational account dwindle lower and lower and
That's
lower, and you
right.
have no revenue, coming into the company. So
I think we all have faced that multiple times in our journeys, for sure.
yeah, yeah, you
Um,
just have to trust in yourself and
that's
trust in
right. Well,
the
and also, like
in
you said,
in
it's like, I know the market's gonna be there.
yeah.
I gotta be patient. It's gonna come. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Um,
We know you have to believe in whatever knowledge and theory that you have for yourself and for your business and your market, and just kind of stick to your guns, and that's where we are now. I mean, we're blessed to be in a position now this year to find the market that we were hoping to last year is transpiring now this year, and we've already started seeing deal flow increase tremendously. We've started seeing we're closing on a deal in a couple of weeks. That's going to be a tremendous win for our investors and for our partners. We got a ton of deals in the pipe. I mean, we've executed more business in the past 50, 60 days of this year than we have the last 8 months of last year.
so yeah, the momentum's there.
The momentum is
The
there.
momentum is there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Celebrate those wins, John.
Every day,
Celebrate it
babe. Every
every
day.
day.
Every day.
So, what, um, what, what gets you out of bed? What's your drive? How do what's that motivating, um, factor that just keeps you going?
Um, I think that thirst for I think that thirst for growth and growing this thing, this creature that I created and that I hope to grow into something much bigger, and the kind of realizing the vision that I set for myself when I first started this. I mean, we want to turn Peak 15. I want to make Peak 15 into a truly institutional level player that is going to be running multiple funds, hundreds of millions of dollars, working with very exciting projects, and that's for me, that's the only way to dream. Look, I when I share my vision with the people that work with me, is it's not a small vision. It's not a vision that is I don't dream that we're going to be this small little company in the
Right.
next few years.
As you
To
should.
me,
We should all dream big.
yeah, oh, absolutely. That's the
Yeah.
only way to dream.
The
If you're
only
going to
way.
dream, you got to go for the gusto. You can't. Why bother dreaming? What are you going to dream about? Like what? Having a small
That's right.
cart outside. Like
That's
what are
right.
you going to dream of?
Like, come on. Come
Why
on.
bother dreaming?
That's right.
Yeah. So to me, it's this big audacious goals.
That's right.
You know, I,
Gotta get that
the
BHAG.
You got to get it. You got to get it. I mean, to me, that, you know, we are, the vision for the company is that we're going to become another Starwood in another, you know, in the next decade or so. So that's the vision. You know, and so if you're starting there,
right,
and you kind of reverse engineer it,
how do you work
are we going to
backwards?
get there? If we want to get there, if you want to be the 800-pound gorilla in the industry, how do we get there? How do we scale? How do we grow? How do we hire? How do we structure the next fund and the fund after that and the fund after that? You know, what kind of partners we need? What do we need internally? More importantly than anything is how do you structure yourself internally in order to get there?
That's right.
I think a lot of people sometimes don't think about that. No. They think about all the external factors that they need to grow their.
They're thinking about the market and the customers, and it's like, whoa. Who are the people that you got to have in place to get there?
Exactly.
And also the processes and the operations. Like,
exactly.
How do you deal with that? And you know, the culture, all that stuff. Yeah, a lot of us tend to skip a lot of that.
Well, because it's fun to think about the growth of the business. It's fun to think about, you know, the incoming business. Right. It's not fun to think about, well,
I got to write down my processes now.
I need to create. That's exactly what we did earlier this year. We had our annual company strategy meeting, and pretty much 50% or 60% of what we did is create new SOPs, you know, and it's, you know,
you got to. So
exactly.
You need to do that. That is like, you know, a must. It's a game changer. It really is.
It absolutely is a game changer. And I'm lucky enough to have people that are with me that love SOPs, because that's not me. So I'm I'm the nightmare for a lot of my people. My director of operations is like, John.
They're like, John, you get out of this. This is
not the procedure to do this. You know, like, but that's why I hired you.
That's right.
That's what you do.
You got the entrepreneur spirit. You're not the sustainer, right? You got other people that need to do the scale up and the sustain.
I'm definitely not the day-to-day details. That's for sure. I'm not. That's not my strength. I'll do it, but that's not my strength.
That's right.
So.
Everybody knows their gifts, right?
Yeah.
So here's a I'm curious of what your answer will be, but it's a tough one. So if you had to sum up your founder journey in just one word, what would it be and why? Your word.
In one word. Wow, you're making it tough on me.
I know.
Tough on me, JJ.
It's such a good question, though. The answers that
it is a great question. It is a great question. I love it. Summing it in one word. That's great. To a man who doesn't like one word,
I know. It makes okay. You can give me a couple words if you need, or hyphenated words. I've had some of that to the same thing. They're like, I can give you a sentence. Like, I'll take it.
The one word that would summon my entrepreneurial journey, fulfilling, I think probably is the biggest word that comes to mind. Fulfilling, because I find what I do every day fulfilling. I find that the pursuit of the growth that I have in mind for my company is fulfilling. I find that working towards the target goals that we set for ourselves and for the company and for the people around me is fulfilling. I find it immensely fulfilling to work with investors that entrust us with their money and for me to show them that growth and that return on their investment. I find it incredibly fulfilling to do that. So I think fulfilling is probably the biggest thing.
That's a great word.
Yeah. To me,
such a great word.
It is. Yeah, it is. And because if you're not fulfilled, it's so many other things are gonna be a problem. If you're not fulfilled in what you do, then why are you doing it?
Why are you doing it? That's right.
Why are you doing it?
If that's not if you're not fulfilling your why and it's not feeding and nurturing and nourishing you, find something else to do.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And if your answer is ever to that question is money, then man, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong.
That's right.
You're doing it wrong. And it's not, and I have, listen, I have arguments about that. Like, hey, you're doing this for the money, or you're doing this because you're late to this because you want to get this deal, or because
Right.
you want. It's not about that. To me, it's not about the money. It's not this vision I told you about, that I want to be the next Starwood in the next decade or so. That's not about the money. That's not money related. That's not because I want billions of dollars.
Right.
It's because how immensely fulfilling would it be for us, for me, and for my people around me, and for my partners, to build something that becomes that,
Right.
and
You're a
it's
category changer too. I mean, that like it starts giving that competition, and it just changes the industry when you get others at that level. It feeds.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely,
It feeds so
yeah,
much more than not just your company, but feeds the whole, I'll call it that ecosystem, right?
exactly, yeah,
Um,
exactly. And to me, the probably the ultimate fulfillment is if I'm able to change somebody's life, or maybe affect it in a
mm,
positive way. I'm a huge fan of like mentoring and coaching. So I've done that in my past, and in various capacities, and I'll continue to do that at some point in the future as well. But that, to me, and even in, mentoring and coaching doesn't have to be necessarily in some kind of a structured program. I mean,
right.
I mentor and coach people that work for me, so it's not something, but I would love to continue doing that more proactively
Mm.
going forward as well.
As you grow and scale.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
all right. This is a fun question. What would our listeners be surprised to learn about you?
Hmm.
It's not on your resume. It's not in LinkedIn or whatever. Just like what would be something they'd be surprised.
I wanted to be an artist for the longest time. Right when I was in college, and right after college for the first couple of years, I painted a lot. I actually, I guess technically my first business venture, if you can call it that, was a collaboration with a really close friend of mine who was a sculptor, and I was a painter, and we collaborated on starting to we put together like these road shows, and we participated in art fairs, and we had a couple of gallery showings, and
Is that one of
you
your
know
paintings in the background?
no, that's not. That is not. No, that is not one of my paintings. That is an artist. That is a wonderful artist here based here in Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh, nice.
His name is Nabil, and this is his wonderful work. So no, that is not. That's not one of mine. But
You're like, no.
I do have one of mine in my house. But that's not one of it.
Well, it's
So
beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, so no, it is that's I would say that's probably the one thing that people sometimes find surprising, especially if they come and visit and see one of my paintings, and
Yeah. They'd be going, whoa.
what the hell, you painted? Like, yeah, more than walls.
That's
Yeah.
right. So last question, or like, this is the last question because we can wrap up. But is there, a resource like a book or a podcast or an organization that really had a profound impact on you as, a leader, a founder, that you're like, man, I would recommend this to others?
A podcast. I mean,
And I know you're a
I listen.
podcast. You're a podcaster too.
I do have a podcast. We have a podcast called Breaking Resistance. We taped a couple of seasons of it, and we're hoping to come out and start taping the third season in the next couple of months. We took a little bit of a break because we're trying to grow this business.
Yes.
So
You're
it's
like priorities, people.
exactly. It's the priorities of you have to, and it's shifting priorities. So it's not just it's not just on a day-to-day basis.
That's
So
right.
unfortunately we have to take we have to take a step back.
Like a small hiatus.
Yeah, exactly. A small hiatus.
Small
But
hiatus, yeah.
I don't have necessarily one podcast.
Besides Hello Chaos, I know it's your go-to.
Yeah, except for Hello Chaos. I do have a book that profoundly that I use a lot, and I recommend to a lot of my people that work for me. And it's actually something that my people are probably sick of hearing me kind of use the statement that comes out of the book. The book is called "Hope Is Not a Method," and the book is called "Hope Is Not a Method." It's by a retired Army general. His name is I think it's Gordon Sullivan.
Okay.
It basically goes through that whole concept of like, you got to have a strategy. There's no
Yeah.
such thing as hope. It's you got to have a strategy. You got to have a plan, and it kind of enumerates how he's done that through his Army leadership, and
Right.
it talks about using after action reviews. If people are not familiar with after action reviews are these kind of the methodology of like reviewing what happened after a project, or
we call them postmortems.
Postmortems, yeah. But postmortem is so
let's do
it's
the
so depressing. It's such
here.
a depressing, it's such a a postmortem is such a depressing sounding thing. After action reviews.
After action is much more positive. That is
true.
It's
much more positive. You're basically in your after action reviews, you're really kind of enumerating what went right, what went wrong, and how can you do it better next time.
Right.
So that's in that book, and also the whole concept of like not relying on hope as a strategy or a method.
Right.
Which again, the people that work for me and around me have heard me say that incessant. I say it all the time.
It's good lessons.
As we talk about the market, as we talk about some project that we're doing, as we talk about doing a new initiative in the marketplace. Well, I hope it works out. Like,
right.
Hope.
No.
Like, what do you mean? What do you mean hope it works out? Like, I don't use that cuss word around me. I don't. That's a dirty word. Hope is a dirty word around me. It's not that I'm not a positive person. I'm a very, very positive person.
But in business, that there's so much data, there's so much research. There's think like have a plan.
You got to have a plan. You got to have a plan, because if you don't have a plan, there's no such thing as hope. Hope is just leaving you exposed. The plan and the strategy. When you have a plan and a strategy, is you're merging those concepts together, and then you're creating what's true hope.
Right.
After you have that in place. So that would be my one recommendation as far as a book is concerned.
Well, that's great. I'm gonna put it down. Well, my goodness, John, we are out of time. These things fly by so fast. And I appreciate you being on. Is there any last thing, like any other piece of advice that you would give, or is there any kind of lasting comment, or how do you want people to connect with you and learn more about you or your company?
My last comment is just keep striving for that fire inside of you. If you have that fire, cling on to it. Don't extinguish it. That's the biggest disservice you can do to yourself.
That's a good piece of advice.
That is the biggest disservice you can do. Just keep nurturing that fire. And it doesn't have to be overnight. People think that, I have that fire, I got to do it tomorrow. Like, it doesn't have to be tomorrow. It doesn't have to be the day after, but just keep it going and find the right time for you. Not when people tell you it's the right time. Find the right time for you, because everybody's timeline is different. And just because you haven't done it yet doesn't mean that you can't do it today or tomorrow. Like, there's no such thing as too late. So I wish everybody success, and I hope that they can have maybe have something, smidge of something from this that they can enhance their life with.
I think they will. This was good. This was good advice.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you having me on the show. To answer your last question, people can find me on social media. I'm on LinkedIn under Jalal John Azar, or find my company, Peak 15 Capital, where our website is peak15cap.com. Or they can email me. That's probably the easiest way. It's Azar, Azar at peak15cap.com.
Oh, that's great. That's an easy email.
Yeah, it's somewhat easy, I guess. Unless if you can get my last name, you'd be surprised how people sometimes as simple as my last name is, people butcher it. I mean, like, how can you mess that up?
How do you mess
that up? Azar. Like, it's not that hard. So yeah.
Well, I appreciate you being on. This was fantastic. For everyone listening and watching us live, thank you for joining us. Again, this podcast episode will be published this coming Sunday and available on all podcast platforms. So subscribe to Hello Chaos, like, comment, and share this great content, and help us grow and build a more connected entrepreneurial community. Hello Chaos is one of the many resources brought to you by Orange WIP. That's Orange WIP, WIP for work in progress. We are a multimedia company dedicated to serving founders and entrepreneurs across affiliate cities. We are 100% free, just an email to join the community. and we're a one-stop content hub just for founders. We are currently in 3 areas of South Carolina, the Greenville area, the Columbia area, and the Charleston area, with goals to expand to be in 30 markets in 5 years, because every single city, every market, they need an Orange WIP to help build a better ecosystem, more connected ecosystem. Check out the latest edition. It's our February edition, talking about product development, product design. It's got some great stories and stunning photography. Again, find your city and enjoy. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast or support us, send an email to hello@orangewhip.com. Y'all, thank you for tuning in to Hello Chaos. It is where aha meets oh shit. I am your host, Jennifer Sutton, aka JJ, and we will see you again next week.